Hi, hello, and welcome back to Even More News, Wacky Wednesday edition. I'm Katie.
Whoa, it's wacky today. I'm Cody. Welcome to the news desk where we all talk today. Hi, thank you for having me on this podcast episode of the show we do every week, but differently kind of today. Hi. I'm Cody, by the way. I don't know if I said that.
He's Cody. Folks, if you don't know it by now you do. We are thrilled to welcome back friend of the show, host of the podcast, The House of Pod, Kaveh Hoda.
I given the current geopolitical climate, I am going to go by Kevin Ohuda for the foreseeable future. I don't want to end up in a camp, is what I'm trying to say.
You got it, Kev.
Nice
Kev Arut,
to meet you.
Kev Blue.
Right.
Are you sure you don't want to go with Kevin Jones or something?
No, I want to keep it real.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I like the Irish,
Exactly.
I'm just gonna state the obvious here. Well, I already did. Wacky Wednesday. We'll be back with a new Some More News next week, but this week you get us here.
That's right.
Today, the day we're recording, is International Fairy Day.
Oh, finally.
We're into that, internationally speaking. Lots of fairies. I am still reading my sexy fairy books. I'm pretty much over it, but I feel compelled to finish reading them.
Talking about the Court of Roses and Thorns.
I abandoned that one, and then someone talked me into reading a different series by the same author, and I think it's a little stronger, but it turns out, spoiler alert, she's still half fae. I thought she was a human this time, but she wasn't. Anyway, but
So
I'm not
this is
talking
real. You're
shit.
not just, this is not a bit, this is a thing. This is a thing, a real thing. Okay.
Sexy fairy books are all the rage right now, Kaveh.
Legend of the Dust Princess. Is that close?
Essentially.
Is that close?
Kaveh,
Yes.
how are you doing? What's up?
I'm okay. I'm all right. I mean,
You're all right.
I'll
It's been a bad week.
it's been a bad week to 12 years. And I was, until recently, sort of like mostly stressed about where our country was going in terms of its healthcare, the healthcare infrastructure. As your listeners may or may not know, I am a doctor, and my podcast focuses mostly on the wacky stuff happening in the world of medicine and healthcare. And that was a bummer enough. And then, I'm also Iranian. And so recently, with the rising, tension and then the outright war and bombings, etc., it's been a little bit stressful. I've lost a little bit of sleep worrying about people I know back there and family back there. So it has been a little bit stressful this last couple of weeks. So I'm okay, though. That all being said, I'm okay. I mean, my immediate family is all good. We're here in the States and all that. And so far, I have not been, threatened by any agency of the government because I'm outspoken about what's happening. So I consider these all big wins.
I have a lot of Iranian friends and people that I've known throughout my life, and I'm a little embarrassed to say that has felt so disconnected from the reality that most of the people that I know here who have come here from Iran came here fairly recently, or their families did. So they still have a lot of family members there. It adds a different level to this whole conversation when everyone's yelling at each other and jumping to conclusions and making bold statements about a situation that they're actually genuinely very detached from. And yet so many people in my life walk around. I just put it into perspective. And this isn't even new for you. This is an ongoing situation where you've had ties there. And yeah.
Yeah, well, in America, we don't really view other nations in that way, right? We don't really conceptualize that there are other people living in these places,
right?
Especially like all the propaganda machine, obviously, and everything with like places like Iran specifically, where it's like, oh, this is the boogeyman state that we can always sort of point to, and we don't realize that it's way more complicated than that for so many people.
Yeah, no, it is a very interesting time. It's you're gonna today. We'll talk about it a little bit, and you'll get my perspective as an Iranian American. But I mean, there are a lot of different perspectives from Iranians in America and the diaspora at large that are different than mine. So it is complicated, obviously, to some degree. But you're totally right. I mean, we don't have a good sense of what it's like over there. People, I think, still are they have a real sort of narrow mindset about what the Middle East is and what, Tehran looks like and how many people are there and the kind of people are there. And I do honestly believe if they had a better understanding of it, they might be a little bit less likely to want to see them bombed. But I don't know if I can totally say that or not. I mean, I'll just, I'll tell you I'll just put it out there for your listening audience. It's going to confuse a lot of people. And I've actually had friends who are like, we don't understand. You are very outspoken against the regime. You've talked about the regime, and you and other Iranians hate the regime clearly, and you left or were chased out or something like that. Why would anyone not want this to occur, this bombing to occur? And there's a lot of reasons for that. One, the people who are going to get hurt are innocent people. Even in the bombings before the U.S., just from the Israeli bombings, 600 Iranians were killed. You don't really hear that. They're mostly civilians, 600, thousands injured. I'm sure those numbers are going to rise too. And we have family and friends back there. And these are people who are also probably against the regime. And probably all of them feel more strongly than you do about your current government. They feel even more strongly or have sacrificed more to fight it. But if there's an attack from the outside, one, it's going to galvanize the people. Two, whenever there is an attack, the more progressive elements of that country that are being bombed are not going to be like elevated.
Right.
If they truly cared about women in Iran, which, by the way, anytime some like Republican senator starts talking about like women's rights in the Middle East, my butthole puckers up really tight because I know there's a bombing about to happen. That's just like a given, Like if they really cared, this is only going to hurt those people that are trying to fight there because it's all going to galvanize around them. And then, lastly, there's a lot of us who have a historical memory of what happens when the West gets involved, not just in the Middle East as a whole, but in Iran. Like, I won't bother you guys with the details of Project Ajax, but there's a big reason the mullahs are in charge and how they got to this point was because of Project Ajax in 1953, when the U.S., England, because they were upset about BP, the oil company, losing their rights to the oil and it being nationalized, led to the coup, a CIA coup, basically kicking out the guy who was in at the time, a guy named Mossadegh. And that led the way down the road, planted the seeds that eventually grew into the Islamic Revolution. So we see that. So all these things are playing in our minds as to why we're not like happy about seeing the bombings, about seeing aggression or tension rise. Sorry, that was a lot. That was a lot of me talking.
No, it was perfect. And thank you so much for sharing all of that. Especially, just all of it. I do think that it gets lost. People seem very clueless about the extent of the United States history in Iran and how you can directly tie what's happening now to our involvement in the region in general. And how, we can look to the Iraq War, the search for weapons of mass destruction, our involvement in the Middle East in general, how this is a playbook that never works out. And all it does is make things worse in the region. And to your point, people are dying. That is getting lost right now.
Yeah.
It seems like, this is all a display. No, lives are being lost. A lot of lives are being lost. The entire city told to evacuate. What that does to infrastructure. I have another Iranian friend with family there that most of them they've gotten in touch with, but they've struggled and the, power's out and it affects utilities. And this is a big fucking deal.
And it's funny because you see the playbook, you see what we were around for what happened with Iraq and the weapons of mass destruction. And listen, Iranians, we feel very special. We feel like we're a very unique thing in the Middle East. So it's extra painful to see that they're doing the same stuff. Like, they're not even mixing up the strategy. Like, come on, we deserve like a better class of troll. Like, I want to see some more thought.
It's been decades.
Yeah, let's be creative with it.
They are speed running it. They're condensing like
I was gonna say,
a
like,
couple years into a week or two.
It's depressing how easily they are just sort of trying to implement that exact playbook to people who were alive when they did it before, and they have like shamelessly just sort of like, we'll just say what we used to say, and
it worked.
It'll work on enough people.
But there's a ceasefire, so that's
that's the other
news.
thing too, because we have the current president is also involved, and he has different reasons for doing all kinds of things. There's like this machine of like, war with Iran, all right, and then there's him who's like, sure, but also like, I'm supposed to be like the anti-war guy, so I gotta say this, but also like, why not? Like he's like this point of tension of like how they're lying, what they're gonna do. But he did say there's a ceasefire that was already broken, I think.
Yeah.
Well, this seems like a good time to walk through the timeline of events that
I've been trying to keep up.
I have a whole
Then
timeline here, Cody.
We have a whole
Perfect,
timeline,
perfect.
and we can interject. But let's lay some of this out, because it has been chaotic and nonstop, and this will be out of date by the time it releases tomorrow, would be my prediction.
Yeah, I believe Trump summed it up pretty nicely today, actually.
And we'll get to that.
Which we'll get to.
that.
So, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to go to the before time of Saturday. This past Saturday, and I apologize for my pronunciation, Trump ordered the bombing of 3 nuclear sites in Iran: Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan.
The only one I will correct you on, and by the way, my Farsi's garbage, so I'm not gonna be a stickler on this.
No, it's okay,
Esfahan.
Kevin.
Esfahan. I add the SH in my Jewish. I see a thing.
How
and I add a,
dare you?
Yeah. So anyway, there was no new intelligence assessment about Iran's nuclear program. It was bombing ordered and based on Fox News vibes, apparently. Trump saw Israel getting praise for bombing Iran. He said, I want in, and then he did it. We now know that these sites were not completely destroyed. CNN says it set back their nuclear program by a few months, perhaps. Uranium was probably moved out, since Trump had been telegraphing for days, like, everyone evacuate right now.
Is that not confirmed that it was moved out, though? Like,
We don't know.
Transparency. The most transparent administration ever. We just let everybody know exactly ahead of time.
So immediately, the president's surrogates start going on TV to reassure Americans that this is just a one-off, fun little B-2 bombing for sport, and that we're not going to war, we're not going to seek regime change. And then after those guys say that on TV, Trump openly muses on Truth Social about regime change. I think MAGA is what he did, make Iran great again, was his...
Yeah, something along those lines, yep.
Then on Monday, Iran responds by firing missiles at a U.S. base in Qatar. Nobody was killed, again, probably because the U.S. got advanced notice that this was happening. So it's
Iran.
From Iran.
Iran let them know it was coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's we're polite.
It's nice, yes. And so it seems like a little bit of like, hey, we have to respond, but if you got that out of your system, we got it out of ours. We had some fun bombing each other as people do illegally.
We appreciate each other.
Yeah.
We
just blew off some steam.
We're,
we can cool it down.
Holding our space.
Yeah,
we're
shaking
making
hands, good game,
America
good game, good game, good
grateful
game.
again. Exactly.
On Monday night, Trump announces on Truth Social that there is a ceasefire. Congratulations, he says. He explains in the most confusing...
I'm sorry. He's such a guy. That's congratulations. Why did he talk? He's
Congratulations
on
not bombing each other.
He's so
anymore.
weird.
Anymore?
Okay, sorry.
And
Hopefully.
He's so weird.
The Truth Social post is very confusing because he's like, for 12 hours, Iran's going to stop and Israel can keep on, and then they're going to switch. And then at the 24-hour point, if no one's bombing, then it will be the end to, and he like gives it a name, of course, the 12-day war. And they're already Vance, they're all saying it on TV.
It's not a war. It's not a war. He's not the war president. He doesn't do wars.
But then, apparently, the ceasefire goes into effect, after which it is immediately broken. Details sketchy. Maybe Iran misfires and it falls, or Israel just does it unilaterally. I don't think we're completely sure yet on the details.
Again, Trump covers it later.
Yes, Trump covers it.
Trump addresses this.
Trump starts posting angrily like, Israel, turn your planes around. Everything's going to be okay. Right after he announces his big ceasefire, which should win him the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know if you guys know this. He's aware of a thing called the Nobel Peace Prize. So all this culminates.
He's gunning for it, baby.
Tuesday morning when he's trying to keep this fragile ceasefire together, and he's asked about this on the White House lawn by reporters. We got to watch this clip.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
So real. That's so real. That is real. He is tired. He is haggard. That is the most human he is ever. That is him behind closed doors. That's him.
He is so stunned that they just didn't do the thing he wanted them to do right away, because it would have given him a win. And this is like, it is one of the more like real true moments from Trump.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
From most presidents.
Because like, to your point, like he doesn't get it that like, yes, the U.S. obviously is like a superpower and we're involved in all these conflicts and we've got all the things about America, but like, they don't care, man. They're like, you're not as involved as you think you are. You don't have as much power as it seems to. It's like this, like with Israel specifically, it's this like situation where like he is frustrated that he can't do this thing that he knows he's supposed to do, but he just has no power over Netanyahu. And it's like his ego can't take it. It's like there's an element of like his ego might get him to do a good thing,
the right thing. Yeah,
you know, like in that way, that weird way that he will. Not always, certainly not always. Every once in a while, every like 7 years, he'll like be right about something.
He wants
for
to
the
win,
wrong,
and if it
for the
aligns
wrong
with,
reason.
yeah.
Exactly.
For the wrong reason.
It's always for the wrong reason. It's not moral. There's nothing going on other than like me, and it happens to align with something that
the only thing
sense.
that he cares about is how he looks and how, if he's being played or not. He's just so worried about that. And I mean, he will always end up going with the last person he spoke to. That's kind of like the guy he is. Like he's gonna, whoever the last person he speaks to, it's his opinion. And unfortunately, that's usually people around him that are just terrible people. And this, when he's doing something like this, is putting him on a stage where he is exposed to other people, other thoughts, who aren't necessarily his sycophants. So it is interesting to see what's going to happen to him and his brain in the coming days. The one thing that brings me joy with this president is that we are now seeing rapidly time catch up to him and the frustrations of the job catch up to him. He can't just coast through on this one. There's real things happening. They're terrible things, and I wish they weren't happening, but they are, and you can see them starting to catch up to him. I'm seeing that now in real time.
He wanted to be able to outsource his presidency to like Stephen Miller and all these people around him, and he is in a lot of ways. But there are some things that you can't avoid because you're the president,
And so right now, I think there's a ceasefire that is holding as we speak on Tuesday afternoon. If that holds, and not everyone, the people who have been dealing with being bombed on because of this. But the governments, did they all get what they wanted? That, Iran, the regime, gets to keep the regime intact. Trump gets to pretend that he did this and he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And Netanyahu gets a win. He got to bomb Iran, and he gets to keep shooting people in Gaza, which he did today, right? 25 people trying to get aid.
Very important point. While all of this is going on, the killing is continuing in Gaza. Horrific. And no one's talking about that, needing to stop that for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely don't. And I suppose that remains to be seen. More information keeps coming out. Like, I don't understand what was accomplished, though. The stated goal of taking away nuclear capability doesn't seem to have, maybe delayed a bit, but
for a couple months, but also like the idea that like, oh, the 60% can get to 90% really quickly. That's why they have it at 60%. So then they haven't been doing that.
So they haven't.
They just didn't do it. This whole thing. And so like, it's just, if it holds, it seems like it's just kick the can down the road in a few months.
Exactly.
Like, oh, they look at the chart again. They've got the weapons or whatever. Like,
that's essentially what I'm getting at.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Netanyahu is not going to be happy until there is no Iran or tremendous regime change, someone that they feel they have control over. I would say, though, the other countries that are coming out looking great are probably China. Russia and China, they look a lot more reasonable. Internationally, they're going to be a better, softer power. People are going to look to them a little more favorably for trade. I think all of this makes us look bad. Again, it's Trump creating a massive problem, then fixing it maybe 80%, and the rest of the world sees that. And like, I think that those other people are going to come out looking a lot better. I think the long-term effects of this, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah. Well, it also just shows he's so untrustworthy and like for anything. Yeah.
Right. It's war, so you always come back to what was the point. But this was a very truncated version. As we said, we were speed running this whole thing. Like, okay, what was accomplished in this? What did we?
Well, I also don't. I mean, it's still really early, and I am very curious to know how this plays out. And by the time this comes out, there'll be something crazy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But even if things hold for now, or minimal damage from here on out, I mean, the long-term effects, I don't know. I mean, is Iran just going to forget about it? I think it's unlikely. Maybe the regime is going to be like, okay, finally we can breathe, and they're happy for a while. But there's going to be other elements, the guard, the other parts of the hardliners that are not going to forget about it. I don't know. I got to tell you guys, we can hold a grudge. I'm a nice guy mostly, but even I have grudges from like elementary school that I have a list. If you're on it, I will get to you. So like,
we're friends,
it's
right?
not. I don't know. Yeah, you guys are cool for the most part.
Not on Kevin's list.
Well,
right.
I mean, that's what, like,
Now he's on the list.
it feels like what we should want, and I don't mean to say, oh, everything would have been perfect if the nuclear deal under Obama stayed intact. Although if you look at the chart, it sure looked like what we wanted
seemed
with
like
no
it was
uranium.
working.
It sure looked like what we wanted there was working, but I am not sure, as you said, Kaveh, like, I don't think Netanyahu wants that. Netanyahu wants them up to 90 so he can go in.
Exactly.
Netanyahu wants them up to 90 so the U.S. will go in. Maybe there's a lot of people in the U.S. who want that as well. So, like, the ostensible goal that we are publicly saying of like, oh yeah, end your nuclear program, the thing that we were doing, they kind of are like, but if you don't, we can have some more disastrous
do this
fun.
more,
You know?
I mean, and that's always Netanyahu's play anyway. It's like provoke,
Well, yeah, he wants to be in
so
power
that you do
forever.
the thing. You do the thing that I have been accusing you of all along, so that we could have a justification. Blah blah blah. But yeah, the long-term picture of this, I agree, does not seem rosy. What you're ostensibly setting yourself up for is less oversight, less communication about what they actually are up to, more secrecy, lack of trust, but also this isn't in defense of this regime in any capacity, but like, why wouldn't they want to be set up where they could quickly produce weapons with all of this hostility? And you look at other places that are, that get bullied. Why wouldn't they? Sorry, Cody, you've got something.
Oh, no. I mean, I just, to your point, like, no one's ever like, we got to stop them from getting nukes. And also, we should all have fewer nukes. Maybe we should all not have. Like, there are reasons that nations have them, and it's as a deterrent, usually. And this idea that like these everybody with their nukes, like, but no, it's I don't want anyone to have them, but the idea that we can sort of police that and without any sort of reflection of that dynamic.
No, I that does exactly what you're saying, and you both of you. They're going to lose. There's going to be no inspectors from now on. They're going to withdraw from the proliferation treaty, I'm sure, if they haven't already. So they still know how to make them, even if there's like even if they've destroyed most, if not all, of these structures, there's still people there that know how to make them. So we are just delaying the inevitable thing that we could monitor better.
Okay, Cody's gotta run, but before he does, we all want to enjoy this Joe Rogan clip as a palate cleanser and transition to other topics.
Yay.
Joe Rogan, a palate cleanser. Who would have thought? All right.
Isn't that funny?
Nah, it's not real. Here it is.
Ice raids are fucking nuts, man. Watching this protest on television, it's like...
You think the raids are nuts?
All of it's
yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, I think both sides are taking it a little too hard.
Well, I don't think if the Trump administration, if they're running and they said, we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot, we're going to go to construction sites and we're going to just like tackle people at constructions. I don't think anybody would have signed up for that. They said, we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing like Home Depots get raided. Like, that's crazy.
Okay, so real quick, thank you, Joe, for getting on board. We did mention
Welcome
this
to the
was
resistance.
bound to happen in our episode about Joe Rogan. He's gonna like realize this sort of stuff. I'm gonna ignore all the both sides stuff going on in the background, and just sort of focus on, hey, Joe, everybody knew this was going to happen. They told you it was going to happen. They had signs that said mass deportations now, and everyone described to you what that would mean, and it's going to happen, and then it did, and here's what's happening now. Also, Joe, if you're gonna say, they said, if you said they do this, what he said was they're gonna go after the criminals first. Why did you say first, Joe? Who's second? Who did you think was second? Who did you think was third? If you in your mind said, but he said the criminals first, who was next,
The
Joe?
poem is one line.
Like,
first they came for the criminals, got them.
Period. Got him. We did it. This is so absurd. Again, thanks, Joe, for admitting it. But like, listen to anybody else for once in your fucking life, Joe. Everybody is always right about this sort of stuff, and they're always proven right way too late, and then you're like, wow, if somebody had told me. Well, they did.
Wow.
What a frustrating clip to watch. My goodness, Joe. My goodness. Who did you think was second?
He's got
My God.
Bernie on the show today.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll change all of his opinions about everything. But it's just a final thought, Joe. Maybe if Trump had told us he'd go to Home Depot, just consider that man is a liar. His entire life, he's a liar. He lies to you all the time. He lies to your face. When you have him on, maybe don't listen to what he says. Generally, anyway. I gotta go. Thanks for having me on the show.
Bye, Cody.
Thank you,
Bye, Cody.
Kaveh. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, Warren, over there. I believe Maggie's also over there.
Kaveh's trying to hug you.
All very much.
We're
Hug
all
back.
trying to-
There we go. Beautiful hug. Have a wonderful rest of the show. Goodbye. Ring, ring. Hello? Will you answer the call? Because the news is calling. I'm referring to Ground News, which you can find via the QR code on the screen. Ground News is a website and an app we reached out to, since they gather news from all over the political spectrum and compare coverage and analysis. The news that's calling as we record this is that the Trump Organization is launching its own mobile phone. That's weird, seeing as he's the president and all. Also, even if he wasn't, why? With Ground News, it's easy to see how right-leaning sources are referring to the phones as American-made, even though more honest sources, including somehow even Eric Trump himself, are confirming that no, there's no way to make those phones in the United States and sell them for $500. Oopsie! The corrupted call was coming from inside the administration! You can get super fun headlines like that and more at ground.news/SMN. With that link, you will save 40% off unlimited access. Ground News can break down the political bias of each source and give you a factuality analysis. What they're doing is more important now than ever, so I encourage you to go to ground.news/SMN to get 40% off unlimited access for yourself or someone you know. Surely you know people. The link is in the description. The call is breaking up because it's on a phone made by Donald Trump's sons. What did you expect?
Summer is about 3 things and 3 things only. Umbrellas and fancy cocktails, buying the umbrellas in bulk so that you don't have to scour Craigslist the day before your friends come over, and watching action movies. That's it. The summer gods demanded. And with Pluto TV, you've got those action movies covered all summer long with titles like Gladiator, Beverly Hills Cop, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Umbrella Man, Four Brothers, Stealth, Gunbrella, the umbrella that's also a gun, Good Burger Boot Gurger, the umbrella who went up a hill but came down a mountain, and, of course, Star Trek. Bring the action and those tiny umbrellas with you and stream for free on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never. Stand under my umbrella.
Another thing about this Rogan clip, and, to watch and get what we need to get out of it, we have to ignore whoever these two guys are. And the guys are, this one guy's like, wait, the ICE raids are taking it too far, the protests taking it too far. And the other guy's like, I think both sides are they're taking a little bit too far on this. They're going a little bit. Wait, if the ICE raids are bad, how are the people that are angry at the ICE raids also bad? They're taking it too far by what? They're getting on the freeway, or the person who lit the Waymo on fire?
Yeah, they're talking about literally that one clip of the Waymo on fire picture that gets shared in it.
But you're acting as if that's one. It's like,
right.
Well, ICE is just doing their job, and one ICE guy is maybe grabbing people off the street. No, there's an imbalance here. Guy on Rogan, whoever.
For sure. I mean, what it actually says to me is someone who is very uninformed and making a lazy statement because they don't either have a thought of their own or don't want to piss off people on Rogan's audience. That's that's what they genuinely believe. But that's such a whatever non-statement that yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to say because his guests can range from every now and then he'll have somebody on who's really smart. Like he'll have
Sanders
Peter Hotez come on, or Bernie Sanders, and then he'll have just the dumbest manosphere comedians, and there's such a gambit. So my guess is probably one of the latter.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they're just comics, and maybe they're funny comics. I really don't know these guys. All I know is the one guy is I think everyone's like this South Park, everyone who cares about something stupid.
What it screams to me is I don't know, everyone's caring so much and it's annoying to me because I just want to not care about shit.
It would be great. I would love to just go on this job, except times 4 the amount of time, and you're just talking about nonsense, and then Joe has to bring up politics. I thought we were just shooting the shit, man. Yeah. Anyway, who cares? When it comes to ICE, and what's going on in LA and of course around the country, I worry that, and I don't want to put this on anyone else, I worry that I am getting desensitized to seeing people ripped off the streets, because there are new stories every week. We got 5 or 6, right? I mean, there's just more in Twitter and Blue Sky and the news. Anytime you open any local news site around the country, there will be a horrendous story, and it's kind of glazing out. I saw the video of the guy who has 3 Marine sons, and ICE was just pinning him down and pummeling him over and over again in the head. We're entering a really dangerous time where I think Stephen Miller and Trump's gambit is, this stuff's unpopular, but let's just push through and we'll move on to something else, and people will grow to accept that this is what happens in your neighborhood.
Because it's not yes, and couple that with the fact that there is just a barrage of news all the time. A number of 4-alarm fires happening at any given moment. Like, we haven't even really been paying attention to this fucking big, beautiful bill act and all of the terrible... I mean, we do our best, but there's constant existential terrors happening. I mean, last night I saw a video of a lawyer speaking on behalf of her client, and just like actual torture, like inhumane torture, lack of medical care, no anesthetic for medical procedures, threatening, but yes, I'm just agreeing with your statement, which is that this is happening all the time, exponentially faster all around us.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's absolutely happening, and it's happening to people who are supposed to care. I mean, I see it working. I see people on the left kind of just like giving up. I do. I hate to say it. I mean, I will say also, and the thing that we really have to sort of continue to celebrate and support and promote and give airtime to are these people who are out there, doing the work out there, like putting themselves on the line a little bit, to confront ICE when they're out there, to make them feel unwelcome, make them feel, unloved a little bit. Show
and they
them
are
a little
successful
bit.
sometimes.
Yeah, it works. And I think more than anything, I think it really, I have to believe it's affecting these people doing this. I see how much the communities there dislike them. I'm probably being optimistic, and it probably isn't. But I think just seeing how much vitriol you receive for trying to take away a member of the community from other people in it, I bet you it surprises them a little bit. I have to believe it does.
Mm-hmm.
I have to believe
it
that.
is heartening to see people who probably have not prepped for this situation, or maybe they have and maybe didn't think it would actually happen. They have the wherewithal to get out their phone, to film, to say, what are you doing? You're kidnapping this person. This isn't right. That stuff is very heartening to see in the middle of a chaotic, horrendous situation. And I hope that energy keeps up and continues, or that it becomes so unpopular and there is such a cacophony around Trump that he backs off. Like, we have to hope this is a thing where he says, I don't want to be that unpopular, tells Miller to back off. Miller will be a little upset. And then we can, not that the status quo was all that great, because ICE was still taking a bunch of people away from their homes and families. But what we have right now, still on the streets of LA and across America, is untenable, and it has to stop.
It's untenable. It is unfucking tenable. That is... We're psychic. I was thinking that word over and over as you were talking. You see reports, and I don't think it'll stay just targeted at the cities. I know that seems to be the directive right now, but it is happening elsewhere, everywhere, and they're going to run out of people. They're going to go to the other communities. So there's that. But entire swaths of Los Angeles are grinding to a halt, and I don't think that like the flower district, I'm seeing videos, empty stalls, empty stands. People are not showing up because they're afraid. They shouldn't show up. They shouldn't show up to work. On Saturday in Pasadena, Parks and Rec, has canceled activities for children. Canceling soccer indefinitely, from what I understand, because of the threats, the stands that people run. It's just...
Do you think, though, that it might backfire a little bit on this whole Miller strategy to focus on these democratic cities and to really go after Los Angeles? Because I have to say, it throws the right-wing base every now and then some of that raw meat when they see a guy on a burning Waymo with a flag. But for the most part, I think they're making LA look cool. Like the way that LA denizens are standing up and are trying to help their, the people in their neighborhoods. It's actually making, and I don't like to give LA credit for much other than it's Persian food, but LA looks like a cool place now. You see skateboard punks standing up to ICE agents. You see people organizing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to help them in the long run. I mean, I understand why they're
I
not
don't
doing
think
it.
it will. I think this
I
is
agree
very
with you,
unpopular.
yeah.
He's underwater on immigration deportations. It has been this way for weeks. He has not been dissuaded yet, probably because he doesn't give a shit anymore as much. He does want to be popular, but I think he knows that he's not running for anything again. And if he is, we're cheating. We're not like doing the,
Yeah,
I'm not going to
right,
project to 2028 or whatever the heck happens. But I don't think he's concerned about voter approval the same way he was, unless it comes to like the market, right?
You see, he caves to pressure in the midst of it, or starts to, but then walks it back because Stephen Miller gets into his ear. It's hard to know what will or will not affect him or change his mind, given the fact that as of right now, he can't run again.
We are dependent on the whims of a madman, to quote Speed 1994.
Nice.
Folks, here's a little niche hobby I've gotten into lately. Smelling good. I know, super nerdy. Look at Poindexter over here without his cartoon pigpen dust cloud. But I can't help it. I'm a smell good guy now. And it's all because of Mando Whole Body Deodorant and its affiliated products. I'm no longer playing D&D with a bunch of foul-smelling misfits, even if they were my best friends. Nope, now I'm smelling it up in a good way, with deodorant that's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. That's like 16 D&D sessions or 1/50th of a campaign at the prevailing rates. God, I miss my friends so much. But it's a small price to pay for smelling like the scrumptious scents of bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our audience, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code MORENEWS at shopmando.com. Do you need me to spell that for you? Okay, fine. I know, I'm your go-to nerd. Sometimes it's a little much, but I'll do it now, whatever. It's shopmando.com. Do you have to have me sing it for you? Okay, fine, twist my arm. No, never mind. Now, the ad's over, so I'm gonna go back to smelling good and being my own dungeon master. I don't need you anymore, Gordon, Elliot, Myra, Henry, and Warmbo plays sometimes, but he's he's trouble. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
I want to talk or bring in this Supreme Court ruling from yesterday, this unsigned ruling, 6-3, where the Supreme Court says that Trump can remove migrants to other countries without them having the ability to say, hey, I might be tortured or enslaved there. I want to call out that this is different than the Alien Enemies Act stuff and sending migrants to the prison in El Salvador. The Supreme Court ruled that migrants do have the ability to challenge their detention in another prison in another country. But if the administration just wants to remove you to another country like Libya or South Sudan, you don't have to give them the chance to say, I might be tortured there. And they did this in an unsigned ruling, the kind of thing you don't really want to give an explanation of. And though it doesn't really amount to much in the long run, Sotomayor wrote a very strong worded, blistering dissent, as they call it, but of course pointed out that even before the Supreme Court ruled on this, they had violated the rulings of lower courts that said to stop. So by giving them relief for something they had already broken, it was, I believe the quote is, rewarding lawlessness, given that the Trump administration openly flouted those court orders. So it's just saying, if you violate enough court orders, we might just say that it's okay because we don't want to have the showdown with you. Plus, we probably like what you're doing.
I'm kind of at a loss for words about this. It's just so depressing and pretty unbelievable to me. I wish I had something.
It is. Yeah. This is the little quiet things like this that I didn't even hear about until you brought it up, and I actually was like trying to watch the news today before this, so I would be as up to date as possible, and I didn't even hear about this. And it seems like a pretty big deal. It seems like a pretty fundamental, like, American belief that we are sort of throwing away right now. And I don't think I've ever heard about it until now.
Well, and it's interesting because previous presidents, the United States government has had the ability to deport people to countries that are not their country of origin. Like, that's not new. Trump doing it so quickly and not having to stop for these minor challenges, right? They've already gone through an immigration court process. I think what this is bringing to light for a lot of people is how harsh our immigration court system really is. It's not like a regular court. It's not like a trial by a jury of your peers. It's an immigration judge that works for the Department of Justice, and if their prerogative is to get you out, they're going to get you out. And we have kind of allowed that to become the system, and Trump and Miller and their team are just taking advantage of it and taking advantage of the Supreme Court's willingness to let them do it. So when this all ends, that has to change.
There's going to be so much. I mean, I hope someone's keeping track of all these things.
That's
assuming it ends.
So wild. Just to your point, Kaveh, of not even having this not even being on your radar, something that happens. There's so much happening all the time, but also in terms of these rulings, it's felt very chaotic to know when's my time turn to panic, or, okay, there's an injunction. Okay, now even this case, the Boston federal court judge blocked rendition, claiming another element of the law protected them. But that's only in this one case that ended up before the Supreme Court. The ruling stands in general. It's just very chaotic and confusing and hard to know where we stand at any given point, is my point.
All that the plaintiffs in this case were asking for was for the Department of Homeland Security to provide written notice to the migrants about where they're going to be sent and give them the opportunity to challenge that deportation on the grounds that they feared being tortured. That's it.
It's exceedingly fair. It's exceedingly reasonable request.
I know that it shouldn't be that we only care if we're somehow getting involved as Americans, if it affects us, citizens. Already like 70 citizens have been found to have been deported at this point. That number is going to go up, and that could include places where, like, people who are citizens are being taken away and taken to some place where they might get tortured or be in really inhumane conditions, which is most likely the case. It's going to affect more and more people. And it's just I hate that goddamn poem now because it's so, like, it's every day now we live that poem. But it's a longer poem. And I think the actual poem was only like 5 lines. I think this poem that we're living through is like maybe 300 lines, but we're still going there. Every new line, it's a new step in that direction.
Zuckerberg's at the bottom. The very, very end of the poem, he gets to Zuckerberg. I want to point out that the 70 U.S. citizens that a report said that ICE has deported, that was from 2015 to 2020. So that was like, been going on. ICE makes mistakes and deports U.S. citizens. Maybe it's a group that shouldn't exist.
A lot of this isn't new. We're paying attention to it. Our system has been fucked for a while now. For forever? I don't know. For a while now. And I have to hope, I don't know. Everything happens so fast in the news cycle and Twitter and the internet skewing everything. But when I talk to people, they don't like this. When I hear people, like, something that I can agree on with folks in my life that I talk about different various issues with is we need immigrants. We need immigration. We actually probably need this to be a major overhaul where it's easier for people to come here legally, that there's actual conversations to be had. And this is not it.
Well, that does give me a little hope. I will say, because I agree with you, that is what people are saying now. But I feel like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and when I was younger, that wasn't the case where people would at least admit that. Like, I feel like now at least people are starting to be like, yeah, we do kind of need immigrants. So we do kind of need their labor for this and this. We do need them for the people are at least understanding that. So something about that has stuck. Something about that messaging worked.
I think people are also starting to realize, perhaps people in their own community that they didn't realize were undocumented, or, you know, that they formed personal relationships with. And then it's like, well, those ones on the TV news are the ones that, you know, are killers and whatever, the gang members. But there is a disconnect between the reality of what this fear mongering meant. I am not justifying it. We're circling back around to that Joe Rogan quote. Cody is absolutely right. They said it. They said what they were going to do. But there's like a disbelief. I don't know. All I know, and I'm not even going to go so far as to say the conversations I'm having are happening everywhere. I hope they are. But there's a little bit of hope. I'm glad that you have felt that as well, Kaveh.
Yeah. I have. I think there are we have to learn why certain messages stick and why other ones do not. And that one, there's something about that messaging that worked. That being said, you know, even though Trump's polling numbers went down a little bit, that June 15th poll that they were talking about, that 51% of Americans still approve of his handling of immigration, which seems like way too much. way far too much.
Well, I do think we need to separate the immigration policy from the deportation policy. People do not like the deportations. It's 15 points underwater. People like that the border's closed. Biden had the border wide open, and now it's closed, and that's good. And I think that's as far as some people think about it. And I think Democrats have a hard task ahead of them because they're so afraid of talking about it, because they think everyone just wants everyone out. Everyone wants the border closed. What alternative can we give to that? But I think what we're seeing now is the texture of how immigrants enrich our lives. Not that that's the only thing, but like in order to talk to Americans about this, I think there is a way to talk about, you know, how people can come in, make themselves part of America, bring their culture, bring their values for the future. It's a long road ahead.
It's a long road. That's why when I say the sliver of hope, it just also feels very depressing.
Yeah.
Because there's so many obstacles, and a big one of those obstacles is Stephen Miller and people like him.
And he seems to be unshakable. Like, that's the thing. I mean, most of these people in Trump's inner circle, they seem to come in and out of favor, and I don't quite know. He's seemed to have figured it out. He's figured out a way to stay in, and maybe it's because he's under the radar. He never takes.
Oh yeah,
that's a good way.
I mean, it's hard to get rid of, and just kind of lurking around in corners that you don't expect.
He never steals his light. I think that's a big part of it. He never steps out of Trump's shadow. I think he's smart about that.
No, you're right about that. There's a way to work Trump, and that is one of them. Be less of a showboat than him.
Right.
Also, not for nothing, but Stephen Miller apparently has disclosed that he owns quite a bit of stock in Palantir, somewhere between $100,000 and $250,000. So there is that.
So would that be like the fact that Palantir is getting all of these contracts and helping ICE use facial recognition technology to do the thing that Stephen Miller does? Would that present some kind of conflict, like of things that he's interested in? Would there be a conflict there?
Yes, to my opinion, but I don't know. I doubt the Supreme Court would agree with me.
It's like the ninth most odious thing about Stephen Miller, that he owns stock in Palantir. Like, yeah, that sucks. But have you seen all this other?
I get that tracks.
Good news. I want to call out a few things before we wrap up. We haven't talked about it yet. Mahmoud Khalil got released after 104 days in detention. Missed the birth of his child. Very heartening to see that. Bunch of nasty stuff being said about him, including by Democrats, that I'm not crazy about. But it is wonderful that he could not be reasonably held anymore, again, for his speech. The Free Speech Brigade does not care. They don't care. We've established that. And also, we haven't talked about it at all because this is a LA-centric show, I guess.
But
the New York City primary is happening today. So by the time you hear this, you will know if Zoran or Andrew Cuomo or Brad Lander, I suppose, won the primary. Hopefully, if you're in New York City and you listen to this show, you got out and voted, and you appreciate that Cave said he doesn't like LA or doesn't have much to appreciate about LA.
Can we talk about the Stephen Colbert appearance with him and Landers?
Yeah.
We
don't have that.
I mean, I don't have a specific clip brought up, but go ahead.
I'll give you the break. I have to say, I was a little disappointed. Like, I know Colbert is, I don't know what the kids would call him, a shit lib. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I probably am one. I don't know. But I kind of expected a little bit of better handling from him. So basically, Landers and Mamdani are on the show together. They're great. It's always cute watching them together. It's super fun. It's like a buddy cop film. You're rooting for them.
They co-endorsed each other.
They're super fun to watch, and they play the Muslim Jewish thing really well together, and it's cute and it's adorable, and it's good optics for Democrats going forward. It's a good way to show that you can be someone who's not a socialist, but you're kind of like left to center, and you can still like work together with like the Democratic Socialists. I think they're showing that there's a lot of potential there for the future of the Democratic Party, which I like. But they're being interviewed, and Colbert does the whole like, do you believe Israel has the right to exist? Because a lot of people are worried about things you've said. And I was like, what has he said? Like, what did that mean? What did he say that would make them worry about that? And they answered it beautifully. Both of them did a great job answering that. Super like affable and friendly, and weren't taken aback by it at all. They did a great job answering it. But it was a little bit disappointing to see Colbert do that.
But I do want to also agree with you. I think that they both handled it so well. Kind of a masterclass in eloquent, being gracious with an answer, putting aside fears, explaining. Like, we should all pay attention. Politicians should pay attention to what, especially Mamdani, is doing this whole cycle. He's been very impressive, and he's made a lot of headway. But I do understand your disappointment.
I just feel like I think it's a fair thing to bring up, to give Mamdani the platform to say, hey, can you address people's concerns? Tell them why they shouldn't be concerned. And to do it in that way but he could have just done it in a way that's smarter or funnier. Like, it just seemed beneath him to me. I don't know. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of his stuff. So yeah, I didn't think it was his best work. So I was like, is he back to Colbert? Is he doing the character again? Is he doing the right-wing guy again? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah.
So it was a bit weird to me.
2008 was a different time. It's been a while since we've seen, Dr. Stephen T. Colbert bring that. And I think, we're not going to get into what globalize the Intifada really means and all these attack ads that they're throwing at Zoran Mamdani, and the fact that if he wins, the Democratic Party might abandon their candidate and back an independent Andrew Cuomo, a sex pest.
It's wild.
I don't live in New York, but I just follow all this stuff, and a lot of comedians and people in politics live there and talk about it all the time. And it's like, I wish I could vote. We don't get any exciting candidates out here. We're like, okay, Karen Bass or Rick Caruso, we got to go for Karen Bass. She's going to suck. She sucks. Great. Well, here we go.
Cave, thank you so much for joining us at the last minute. This was great.
Pleasure.
Please tell our listeners, remind them where they can find you and support you and all the things.
So I have a podcast. It is fun. It is a informal look at science and medicine, and we take aim at grifters and the wellness community, or we'll take a look at what's happening with RFK Jr. and the terrible things he's doing there. You can find it pretty much anywhere you get podcasts. It is called The House of Pod. And if you happen to be in the San Francisco Bay Area this coming weekend on June 28th, on Saturday at the Hotel Utah, one of my favorite bars in the city. My band will be playing. Show starts around 8. I think we'll probably go on around 9 because I'm old and I want to go home at a reasonable hour. And it'll be a super fun night. So if you're around, come out and say hi and tell me if you know me from this show or from another show, let me know. Those are the two things I want to plug. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Of course. That's exciting. The show's coming up. You guys should definitely go check him out.
I think so. We're a good $10 to $15 band. We'll give you your money's worth for that range.
That's
that
money
price
well
range.
spent.
So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it's in Utah at the Hotel San Francisco, you said?
Yes, they have one hotel there, and they decided to name it the San Francisco
Got it.
Hotel Utah in San Francisco.
All right. That's it for us today, but we will be back on Friday. How fun for everybody. Okay, cool. I know I'm supposed to say something. All right. We love you very much.
We love you very much. I did the Cody.
We did it.
Oh boy, the news never stops, does it? Until the episode's over, then there's no more news. That's nice. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to like and subscribe. And oh my gosh, look at, there's so many links maybe and things. There's other content and websites. So there they are. Goodbye.